So I'm going to put in today's date, the shortcut for today's date, control semicolon, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my fill handle and left click hold and drag that down. And notice when I start dragging it, it's giving me one day at a time that it's adding as I go down that column, which is nice. But what if I didn't want that to fill in the series by the day? I wanted it to fill in the series by the month. Well, see that little tag right down there? You hit that little tag, hit the drop down on your autofill options tab, and you have all of these options here. I am going to fill the months. So it's going to go April 30th, May 31st, June 30th, July 31st. So the last day of every month, all the way up until where I ended, which brought me into March of 2025. What did those hashtags mean? Just means that the column isn't wide enough to fit the dates that I have in there, because we go from July, August, September to October. Well, October is 10, 31, 24, right? November is 11. December is the 12th month. So we're adding an extra digit there. That's why we're getting the hashtags and we're not getting the actual dates. All we need to do is widen that column, put your cursor between the two columns, this one and the one ahead of it to the right of it, and then just do a quick double left click. Get your adjuster, which is your horizontal double-headed arrow with a vertical line going down the middle. Again, a shapeshifter, and do a quick double left click. Cool. So now you have by the month. It was super simple. You didn't have to go in and change those manually one by one. That would take you a long time. Now you have the weekday. So again, I'll put in today's date, control semicolon, and I will go ahead and grab my fill handle and drag that down. That weekday, I don't want the weekends. So that's what this means. I only want Monday through Friday. So again, I'm going to go to my little tag at the bottom, my autofill options. And instead of just one day at a time, I'm going to fill the weekdays. And then it'll take out, look, it took out May 4th and 5th, which is a Saturday and Sunday. It took out the 11th and 12th, which is also a Saturday and Sunday. So it's only giving you weekdays and it's skipping the weekend days, which is kind of nice. And now we talk about payroll. So I'm going to put in 5/3/2024. And now what I want to do is I want to create a schedule for every other Friday, which is the dates we get paid. From there, what I'm going to do, I could take my fill handle, but the problem is it's going to give me one day at a time by default. I'm going to go to my autofill options, and I don't have an option for every other week, right? Just doesn't work that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo and I'm going to go to the second cell. So if this is 5/3, 2 weeks from May 3rd is 5/17. So I'm going to put in 5/17/2024. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting the pattern so that Excel will pick up on that and be like, oh, okay, I see what you're trying to do. You want every other Friday. Cool, got it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is once I have those two dates in there and I've started the pattern, I'm going to take my fat white cross and I'm going to left click and hold and select both of these cells together. So I can start up here and drag down, or I can left click hold down the second one and drag up. Either way, it doesn't matter as long as I have both of them selected at the same time. And then I'm going to grab my fill handle, left click hold and drag that down, and you will see every other Friday all the way until October. Pretty cool, right? All you have to do is fill in the pattern. You start the pattern with the first, second, and possibly even third cell. Once you fill out that pattern, Excel will pick up on that. So under the decimal column, what I want you to do is start with 1.01. And then what I really want this to do, I want the autofill to give me 1.02, 1.03. But look what happens. I'm going to take my fill handle, thin black cross, bottom right corner. And well, actually, it's giving me a date. Check that out. Whoops. Why is that? Because it is formatted as a date. Okay, so I have to change that, right? First thing is I'm going to change that back to general formatting. Okay. General formatting will just kind of pick up my formatting, whatever I type in there. But look what it did. It gave me 1.01, but then 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And I was like, no, not what I want. Well, all right, let's try a number format. Let's see if that works. Number format 1.01. So yeah, but it didn't give me 1.02, 1.03. Still didn't really give me what I needed, right? And that's going to happen from time to time. But again, you have to set the pattern. So I'm going to go click in this second cell here, and I'm going to tell Excel what I want it to do. I want it to give me 1.02, 1.03. So it just gives me, it's just changing the decimal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select these three so that now Excel understands my pattern. I select all three cells together, left click hold, drag my fill handle down, and bada bing, bada boom. There you go. Any kind of pattern that you need to use that autofill for, if it doesn't automatically do it for you, then you start creating that pattern for Excel and it will finish that pattern for you. It will pick up on that, which is great. So on the fill column, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the cell underneath the title fill. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to create our own pattern here as well. What I really want to do is I want to count by fives. So if I put a 5 in here right now and I take that fill handle, again, give me a date. I definitely have to change that, right? So I'm going to change that to a number. And it's giving me 5.00, 6.00. Doesn't really matter. I don't really need the decimals. The way to remove the decimals on the fly quickly is to select your cells that have the decimals that you don't want. And then come up here. Again, we're going to the home tab, the number group, and see where it says decimal, like it has that little blue arrow with the decimals. This is where you increase the decimal. The arrow that points to the right is where you decrease the decimal. So I'm going to decrease the decimal. I'm going to hit this twice. So I get rid of the 2 0 decimals that are in these numbers. 1, 2. Perfect. But it counted by ones. I really wanted fives. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So I'm going to come to the second cell underneath the 5. I'm just going to type in the 10. And now I'm going to take my white fat cross, left click, hold and drag to select both of those cells at the same time. And now I'm going to grab my fill handle and boom. Beautiful, isn't it? Any pattern, you just have to start it. You just have to tell Excel what you're looking for. The other thing I want you to do in the currency column, we're going to put, let's see, put 5, and then we're going to put 55. I don't know why it's giving me the dates, but anyway, 55, 55, 5, enter, 4 5s. So we have 1 5, 2 5s, 3 5s, 4 5s. Then we have a negative dash 555. Enter that. And then we have a 0. And then we have an NA. And now what I want you to do is just take those cells and just change the formatting to a currency format. So right up here, home tab, number group, you're going to the currency drop or whatever that it says right there, which is probably date. Hit that drop down, choose currency. So your currency will add 3 things. It will add a dollar sign, it will add a comma for any numbers over 3 digits, and it will add 2 decimal places as well. Kind of cool, right? Currency, no decimal is this one. You know what? I need to format this top row because that currency no decimal and the accounting no decimal, those are getting cut off. That's a problem, right? Especially if I have to print this or if someone else has to see it, they won't be able to read the whole title. Now, there's 2 things I could do. One, I could widen the column, but I really don't want to widen the column. I want to keep the columns the same width. Right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select row 1 from the frame. So go over to the left side, hover over the number 1, the first row. You're going to get that black arrow that points to the right. You're going to left click 1 time. And that just selected the entire row 1 all the way down to column XFD. But no problem. This first row is always going to be my title row. So I'm okay with that. And that's why I did it that way. Otherwise, if I didn't want it that way, I would just select from column A to column Q, all in row 1. So the other way to do that, I can do it, start from the back too, start from the Q. Left click hold and just drag, 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 drag. And I could do it that way too. That way I'm only formatting cells A1 through Q1. So you could do it that way too, but I am going to it's just easier. I'm going to format the entire first row of this spreadsheet all the way down to column XFD. Okay, now that being said, there's some really cool features in your alignment group, in your home tab, your alignment group, there's a feature called wrap text. It's that ABC with that little arrow kind of pointing down and to the left. So when you wrap text, look what happens. It keeps the column width the same, and it kind of puts things kind of in line vertically. It's not perfect, so we got to fix it a little bit. One thing I want you to notice is that the titles are on the bottom row. So that row just got a lot higher because we have currency no decimals, accounting no decimals, and it just added height to that row. Now, what I want to do is I want to put everything in the middle vertically, eventually horizontally as well. So home tab, alignment group, you have your vertical alignment options here, top, middle, bottom. And then we have the horizontal alignment, the second row down, which is left, center, and right. So you can format however you want to align anything in a cell with these features here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to align middle and I'm going to align center. So I'm middle top to bottom and I'm centered left to right as well. Now let's see what that did. So far, so good. It looks pretty good. So I still see some issues with the accounting and the accounting no decimals. So on this case, I could do one of two things. I could decrease the font just a smidge to see if that works. So now I'm just going to select just these two cells. That's it. I'm going to go up to my home tab in my font group, and I'm going to go to the font size. And right here, I'm going to bump that down to 10 and see what that does. When I click on the 10, look at that. It's perfect. So I didn't have to widen the column at all. I just had to decrease the font size just for those two titles to get it to work. Let's just say I'm going to select row 1 again, and I'm going to bold all my titles. And if that makes it go back to where like the G was kind of hanging down on the second line, then again, we might have to go in and maybe just widen it just a smidge, the column, so it's not so noticeable, or, decrease the font. So there's a couple of different ways that you could do this, but bringing it down to a 10-point font, even when I bolded it, it still worked. So it looks good. So I'm going to go back to the currency no decimals column. What I want to do is I want to take that 5, 55, and all of that. I want to take all of this and I want to copy it all the way over to accounting no decimals. I don't want to have to type those numbers in again. So again, I'm going to go to the currency column and I'm going to select those numbers all the way down to NA. And I'm going to take my fill handle now and I'm going to drag to the right. 1, 2, 3. Those 4 columns. Boom. Yep, your fill handle can go vertically and horizontally. Is that not a beautiful thing or what? So that just saved me a ton of time from having to type that all over again. Now I'm going to select just the numbers underneath the currency no decimal column. And what I want to do is this is formatted as currency right now. I already know that because when we copied those numbers over, it also copied the formatting. So you can see accounting no decimals. It is all currency right now. But eventually when we get to these columns, we're going to be, changing the format for each of these columns. So the currency no decimal, one thing you could do is you could take the 0 up here, those little arrows next to the zeros in your home tab, number group, and you could simply just decrease the decimals. But I want to show you another way. I know I showed you that already, so I want to show you another way. When you click the drop down where it says currency up here, when you click the drop down, you have an option for more number formats. That's one way. A second way is in this group, right? In the home tab, in the number group, do you see this little arrow in the bottom right corner? That is called your dialog box launcher. Basically, that means there's more to formatting than just what's in this group right here of commands. So if you click on that, that's going to take you into the Format Cells menu. I'm going to close out of that. And another place to get there is to go into your cells group. We're going to hit the drop down on Format. And at the very bottom of that menu, you also have Format Cells. If you click on that, again, going to take you to the same place, you guys. So I'm going to close out of that. And another way, right click on the area that you have selected, anywhere inside of that selected area. When you right click, boom, format cells right there towards the bottom. So either way, you can click this drop down and go to more number formats. That'll bring you to the format cells menu. You can click the dialog box launcher. That will bring you there as well. You can click the drop down on the cells group on the format option and format cells from there. And you can also right click anywhere within that selected area and format cells from there as well. Once you get there, you have all these menus up here at the top. We're going to focus on the number formatting right now. So in that number tab at the top, we have some options for all of your different types of formattings, just like you saw when we clicked the drop down here in the number group in the home tab. However, this gets a little bit more detailed with some of the formatting that you can do once you pick a certain format. So in this case, we want currency, but we want currency no decimals. And really what I want is 0 decimals, right? So I'm going to hit this little down arrow until I get to 0. Notice it's actually giving me a little bit of a sort of a preview underneath. Now in currency formatting, you can choose how you want your negative numbers to look. So if you look right here, we do have a negative number in there. So the negative number is just a dash in front of it. The font is still black, it just has a dash in front of it to show a negative number. You could choose to make a negative number red. You could choose to make a negative number still with the black font, but in parentheses, and you can choose to make your negative numbers red and in parentheses. I'm going to choose the red parentheses and then your symbol. So obviously we're in US dollars. However, if you look at symbol and you click that drop down there, these are all of the different currency symbols that you can choose from. Now, what it will not do is convert the currency for you. So if you were converting to the Chinese or Japanese yen, right, it's not going to give you what the equivalent Japanese yen is to this US dollar, $5, $55, or whatever. So it's not going to convert your currency. It's just going to add the symbol. So you will Google it and you go convert it yourself and then you change that yourself. But it's really kind of nice that you have that option there as well. So don't forget about that because that isn't something that you can do here. Yeah, I mean, you can, but it doesn't have as many. So it is kind of nice that you can go into more accounting formats and then go to your currency and then go to your symbol. Accounting too. The difference between currency and accounting, you'll see in a minute, but you also have the same symbol options and decimal options as well. So in the currency, what I'm choosing to do with these numbers here within this cell range that I have highlighted is to bring my decimals down to 0. I don't want any decimals. Keep the currency symbol at a US dollar sign. Change the negative number to red and in parentheses. And now I want to hit that OK button in the bottom right corner. If you can't see it, go to the top edge of your window, your format cells window, left click, hold, and just drag it up a little bit, and then click OK and check it out. It's exactly how I wanted it. Currency, I got the dollar sign. I've got no decimals. It will give me a comma if there's any number more than 3 digits. It makes my negative number red and in parentheses. And the 0, it's not giving me a dash. It's just giving me a 0. Accounting, on the other hand, all right, you guys ready? Come over to the next column over and let's do accounting. Select those numbers all the way from $5 to NA and let's go up to the home tab, the number group, currency formatting. Change that to accounting formatting and look what happens. So there's a little bit of a difference between currency and accounting. Accounting will move the dollar signs aligned to the left side of the cell, where currency, the dollar sign is actually hugging the cell and it will give you the 2 decimal places. It will give you the comma for any digits over 3 digits, but look what it did to the 0 and look what it did to the negative number. So it put the negative number in parentheses where in the currency format, it put the negative number just a dash in front of it. We could adjust that, right? We could customize it even more and say, no, I don't like that. We want it red in parentheses. Well, with accounting, accounting format is accounting format is accounting format. There's some things you can't change because it's supposed to be like that because it's accounting format. The dash where the zeros would be, That is not going to be the case in accounting format. If it's a 0, that cell is going to have a dash in it. Now, if I want to go customize this and maybe change how my negative numbers look, change how zeros look, I'm going to go up to a couple of things, right? I can right click, I can go to format cells, I can go to the dialog box, or I can hit the accounting. Either way, however you guys get there, go to your format cells menu. And now, again, we're still in the number tab at the top, but we're in the accounting category now. And notice it doesn't give me any option to change my negative numbers and, change what they look like. So again, if I want to remove the decimal places, change the symbol, that is pretty much all I can do with the accounting format. That's it. So I'm going to leave this one alone for now. I'm going to close out of this because this is just straight up accounting format. No customizing, no taking the decimals out, but the next column over, we're going to go there. So we're going to select those numbers underneath accounting no decimals. And again, we're going to go to that format cells menu. We are going to go to accounting and we are going to decrease those decimals by 2 places so we don't have any decimals at all. We're good with the $ symbol. Click OK. Bada bing, bada boom. You're good to go. Now, formatting a zip code. This might drive people crazy. So, how to format a zip code. If you are in New England, then your zip code starts with a 0. And Excel doesn't like zeros. So if you try to put 02134 is a Boston zip code. Okay, I'll enter that. And look what it did. It removed the 0. And you're like, no, why do you keep doing that, Excel? Stop doing that. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to select the cells, and you can just go down just a couple of cells. I'm going to select those cells before I go any further. Now, if you have a spreadsheet that is, that has a column where that is the only thing that's ever going to go in the column is zip codes, then work from the frame, right? Click on whatever column letter is your zip code column and just work from the frame and do this from the frame instead. So I'm going to work from the frame. And I'm going to right click right on the letter, right on the column header, and I'm going to go to format cells from there. And I'm going to go to special. And when I click on special, there's a couple of different types of formatting, right? There's the zip code. There's a zip code plus the 4 digits, which is what we have now. You can format something as a phone number, so you don't have to put the parentheses around the area code and then the dash and then all that. And same thing with the social security number. It will format numbers for you, so you don't have to put the dashes in. If you are a data entry person, you should do this, right? You should format your columns so you're not wasting time typing in parentheses and dashes and commas and things like that. So I'm going to just do the zip code without the 4 digits, but you can kind of figure out what that does. So I'm going to go zip code and then I'm going to go English, yes, because like a Canadian zip code is a series of like 3 letters and numbers space 3 letters and number combination. So like E3V space B2G or something like that. So you want to make sure that you have the right format of your zip code as well. And you can click that drop down and again, tons of options. No matter where you're sending this to or whatever, you can find what country you need for the zip code format. But other than that, yeah, so I'm going to choose zip code, English US. I'm going to click OK. The 0 is back. Look at that. Is that not awesome? Now I'm going to scroll down quite a bit. I'll scroll down to like row 100 and I will do 03056. Now, because I formatted this from the frame, I should be able to type in a zip code starting with a 0 and it should give me the 0 all the way down to row 1,048,576. Ready? I'm going to control and arrow down now to get me to the last row in that column, 03854. There you go. It's not dropping that 0 because I formatted that entire column as a zip code all the way down to the last row. Isn't that awesome? So now I'm going to control and arrow back up, backspace that out, control and arrow back up again. And now I can type in my zip codes as I go along, adding all of my data entries. So yeah, kind of cool, right? So now let's talk about phone numbers. Let's format something as a phone number. Now with a phone number, with US phone, I think Mexico, Canada too, you have the parentheses around the area code, then a space, then 3 digits, then a dash, then 4 digits, right? Isn't that a pain? I'm in Tampa, 813-555-1212. I enter that. It doesn't format that for me. But what it did do is it actually widened the column enough for me to be able to fit the phone number, which I'm cool with. It just widened it just a smidge, and I'm okay with that. If I wasn't okay with that, I would go back and put the column the width that it was, and then just maybe decrease the font size. Real quick, let me show you how to do that, because that may happen to you too. Now, all of these columns here are all the same width, right? How do I know that? Well, I can right click on any one of the column letters, and I could go down to column width, and I can see 8.54, 8.54, 8.54. Okay, awesome. That's awesome. So if I come over to the phone column and I right click on the letter P, which is the column header for that particular column, and I go to the column width here, 10.46. Ooh. So what I could do is I could take this back and type right inside of this area. It's highlighted in blue, so it's waiting for you to type something. So I can type 8.54, click OK. And then now look, now you're like, ugh, what is that? It looks like it's a scientific format, right? So let's go back. I'm going to keep the width the way it is. I'm going to format it from the column header, and I happen to be in column P. So from here, what I am going to do is I'm going to take this column, and I want to format this as a phone number. So I'm going to come back here to the Home tab, Number Group, General Format. Do I see a phone number here? Huh, no, I don't. Huh, all right, well, I'm going to go to More Number Formats then. And I'm going to come down to Special. Once again, once I get into that Format Cells menu, Special Phone Number. Look at that, you guys. And yes, English US phone number. So it knows to put the area code in parentheses and then a space and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to format that entire column all the way down. And I'm going to click OK. Now it's giving me hashtags. Whoops. What is that? That just means that the column isn't wide enough to fit the whole phone number. So again, I can do one of two things. I can widen that column, or I can come up to my font group, my Home tab font group, click the drop down, and let's see what 10 looks like. Nope. Let's see what 9 looks like. Nope. Let's see what 8 looks like. Now we're getting really small. And did you know in your font group, notice that it only goes as far as 8, but I can actually type a number inside of here. So I'm going to type, let's see, 6, and I will enter. There it is. But man, it's awfully tiny, right? So it looks a little funky. I'm going to undo that. Control Z, Z, Z. And now I am actually going to widen that column. I'm going to get between P and Q, and I'm going to get my adjuster, which is my horizontal double-headed arrow with a vertical line going down the middle, my little shapeshifter, and I'm going to do a quick double left click. Boom. I'm good with that. And now if you click underneath that phone number and you do another phone number, you can go ahead and just type in the numbers, no parentheses, no dashes, no spaces, just type your numbers and enter. And it'll automatically format that for you. Then the last but not least, Social Security number. So you kind of know where we're going here, right? So let's make up, don't put a real Social Security number in here. Let's make up a Social Security number. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? It's a series of 3 and then 2 and then 4, which is a total of 9 numbers. But notice it's not formatted like a Social Security number, so it's kind of hard to figure out what kind of a number that is. So again, I'm going to enter that. It didn't add the dashes in there for me where it should have. But again, I know this whole entire column is going to be Social Security numbers. So I'm going to work from the frame. I'm going to left click on the letter Q. That's the column I happen to be in, to select the whole column all the way down to the end. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Format Cells. That's going to pop up that extra menu. I'm going to go to Special. And I'm going to go to Social Security Number, United States, click OK. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Now I'm going to do 098765432 and boom. And again, if I go all the way down to the bottom, control arrow down, and I do another number, it will format that as a Social Security number. How cool is that? All right. Thanks, you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.